Hello friends, you're with the Lonesome Gamer, and tonight I'm gonna play Talisman. And that is the revised 4th edition by Fantasy Flight Games. And it's really something special to announce this playthrough, simply because I love this game so much. I already did a playthrough of the 2nd edition by Games Workshop. That was a game I played over and over again when I was a child. I just couldn't stop playing that. It was so amazing. So I was really happy when I was when they did this, when Fantasy Flight did this game, did the 4th edition of this game, and I couldn't wait to buy this actually. But I want to mention a little more about the history of this edition, because actually there was another 4th edition before. And that first 4th edition was here by Black Industries. So they were the first to somehow purchase the copyright of this game and then did a 4th edition. I'm not sure about the story here, but for some reason then Fantasy Flight was allowed to continue the printing of the 4th edition, and they changed a few things and the components were upgraded. So when they came out with their expansions, I decided, okay, I want to have the Fantasy Flight edition and not the Black Industries edition. And luckily I found that Fantasy Flight had this upgrade pack. And that looks really cool, because it's a complete upgrade to Talisman Revised 4th edition for owners of the Talisman 4th edition. So in theory, if you have this 4th edition, buy the pack, it should have the same as this. Sounds great, but it's actually not the case. And I can show you now why. Okay, so that's the board of this Black Studio edition, whatever. So that's basically the first board you get if you don't buy the Fantasy Flight edition from the beginning. So you buy the upgrade pack, everything's fine, you got all the components, and then after a few years they came up with the Dragons expansion, which seems to be absolutely fantastic, and I was happy to buy that. And you got that inlay here, so you place that on the board in place of the inner region, and if you do so, you see now, whoops, that damn thing is actually too big, or the board is too small. So it doesn't really fit anymore. See here? So, I don't know. I mean, in this case, for example, it looks really bad. Or here, with the portal of power, the castle, that doesn't look good anymore. So, well, what can I say? In the end, I ended up buying the base game a second time. So now finally I had this edition, I had the upgrade pack, which was completely useless for me then, and the base game again. So that's my personal history with the 4th edition. But let me give you a short overview about what we got out there now in this 4th edition universe with all its expansions. Okay, here we go. So this is simply insane. First we have, well, 4 official big box expansions. We got down here the dungeon, which adds a new board that you can add to the main board on the corner. New characters, tons of cards, the usual stuff. Highlands is more or less the same. Another board and new characters and so on. This is the dragon expansion. This is slightly different. You also get a new board, but you place it instead of the inner region. I've shown you that right before. In addition, you get new characters and you also get a few more new rule mechanisms with the dragon kings, and so this thing is really focused on dragons. Then we got the latest expansion. It's the city expansion here, and that's another board, and you place that next to the city, and well, it allows you to explore the city a little more. Then we got small expansions, and they also all add characters and some other stuff. We got the Reaper here, which adds a little mechanism about, well, about this Reaper character that can attack the players. We got the Frost March expansion, tons of new cards and new characters and so on. We got here the Sacred Pool, which is also basically the same, new cards, new characters and so on. And here we got the Blood Moon, and that is about what kind of werewolves, and you got now a day and a night cycle. Well, that's basically it. And in addition, we have also great unofficial stuff. And I will use that because it's so terribly awesome. We got 3 big unofficial box expansions. There might be more, but I will use only these. I think these are the biggest actually. You can find them on Talisman Island. That's a fantastic web page where you get a lot of stuff, fan-made expansions and informations and whatever. And these 3 expansions were all made by Azoic, and he did a fantastic work. It's really, this is professional work, and it could be just a regular box expansion. We have here the Dragonland. As you can see, it's an unofficial expansion. The artwork here is just absolutely fantastic. And that is, well, obviously also about a landscape with dragons. You get an extra board, exactly the same size and style as the Highland or the dungeon. You can place that on the corner of the map, of the board, and explore the Dragonland. Same thing here, the Darkland expansion. Another unofficial expansion. Once again, fantastic artwork here. Big battle going on. Dozens of characters killing each other. And there's also an interesting mechanism here which improves the strength of the creatures by time. That's quite some good ideas in this. And another board, exactly like Highland or Dungeon, for the corner of the board. And finally, we got the good old timescape here. So I know many people hated it. the good old timescape that came with the second edition. I loved it. I thought it was great. And now we have this here too, a timescape board. Basically the same cards, just in a new artwork and so on, but it's more or less the same. Okay, so well, this is what I got from Talisman. It's a lot, and there will be a lot of shuffling to do now. I will play with some house rules. I will explain them to you during the game, and I hope we can enjoy the session. Okay, so the game is set, and if you don't know Talisman at all, I recommend to watch my second edition playthrough where I go through the rules step by step. Here I won't do this. I will only explain the changes that come with the new edition or with the expansions, and of course a few house rules that I did. So well, until now it's actually not so bad. The shuffling, I only shuffled a few of the adventure cards, a few spells, and no expansions until now. We will do this when they come up. And yeah, here we have our strength markers, life markers, craft markers, the money, and the fate tokens, and that is actually something new. Fate tokens simply allow you to re-roll a die. So you just discard them, and then you can re-roll that die, but you have to accept the second result then. Okay, this is a card that indicates if it's day or night. And now, during daytime, all the monsters have a -1 strength. And I think also craft, but I have to check that. And if we draw an event, we will flip this card, and then we got nighttime, and all the monsters will have then a +1. And we always flip this card if we draw an event. Okay. I will play with 3 heroes. First one is here, the Warlock, and he starts here at the Warlock Cave. The game comes with really good miniatures. They look pretty much exactly like their pictures here. So also in the gesture, so it's really, I really like that. And his abilities are: you begin the game with 2 spells. At the start of your turn, you may gain your full complement of spells according to your current craft, which is, by the way, 5, and that's a lot. Whenever you complete a Warlock quest, you may take 1 card of your choice from the purchase deck for free instead of gaining a talisman as your reward. So that's definitely great. And here's these 2 spells. There is one that says Dominate. Cast when you are about to engage an enemy in battle. You may enslave 1 enemy you are about to encounter instead of attacking it. The enslaved enemy becomes your follower and adds its strength to yours in your next battle, after which it retreats to the discard pile. Oh, that's nice. And the second one is a Haunting Poltergeist. Cast on any character at the start of his turn. The character must take this card as a follower and only moves 1 space per turn. The character must discard this card if he crosses the river, either by the bridge, raft, or ferry. Okay, that's also nice. And then we got the Highlander. That's our second character, and he starts here at the cracks. And wait a minute. Yeah, that's him. Here, that's his miniature. Okay, and you need not roll the die in the cracks or the chasm until you wish to, unless you wish to. If you choose to roll, you must accept the result. Whenever you land on the hills, you may draw 2 adventure cards instead of 1. I must remember that. But you must encounter both cards. If there is a card already on the hills when you land there, you may draw a second card, but you must encounter both cards. Whenever you are about to engage in battle, you may charge and add 2 to your attack score. If you charge, you must miss your next turn, recovering your wits. Okay, I think it says whenever you are about to engage, so I think you have to do this before you roll. Makes sense. And then we have here a dark cultist. And she starts here, the graveyard, and she looks like this. When you attack another character, you may choose to make the attack psychic combat. You may not do this when you are attacked by another character. Whenever you kill an enemy or defeat another character and force them to lose a life, roll 1 die to receive a gift from the forces of darkness. If you defeat a good character, which we don't have right now, you may add 1 to the score. And then we can gain fate, things like gold, strength, craft, whatever. You are always evil. Ignore any effect that changes your alignment. Fine. Okay. And then I randomly determined to use the Reaper. And that is actually this guy. So it's now Death himself running across the board. And this is actually pretty simple. You, whenever a player rolls a 1, and I have to keep this in mind too, I tend to forget that. When the player rolls a 1 as a movement roll, well, he does his move, and after that he rolls a second time to move the Reaper. And if the Reaper ends up on the same space as another character, then we roll here on this Reaper chart and we'll see what happens. Can be good, can be also very bad. Okay, so I think that's basically it. We're nearly ready to start, but before we do, you probably might wonder why I didn't place all these expansions here around the board. Well, here comes an important house rule. Actually, I think that the expansions should be something really special. I don't think you should go on these expansions in every game and just the first thing you do is go in the city or go on the expansions or whatever. So I think I have a special rule. If you draw the rune gates, these are cards, there are many of these cards in the deck, and if you draw a rune gate, then you can enter this gate and you are randomly teleported to the starting place of one expansion, except for the city. But any one of the other, well, I think these are about 5 expansions, including the fan-made expansions. Maybe even 6, I'm not absolutely sure. I think it's 5. If you enter the city space, then you simply roll an 8-sided die. And if you roll a 7 or 8, you're allowed to enter the city. If you don't, you have to encounter the city on one of these spaces here. Oh, you have to encounter the city in the normal way, actually. So, yeah, I guess that is one of my most important changes that I did. Simply to avoid only visiting the expansion boards, but still playing on the classic board, which I really love, and that's something quite important to me. In addition, we will add some fan-made stuff when we enter the inner region later on. And after all, we will draw one of these random alternate ending cards. At the very end, we enter the Crown of Command, we draw one of these alternate ending cards and see what happens then. Okay, so it could be a pretty wild ride, and well, I say let's start the game. Okay, so first of all, we start with the Warlock. Simply roll a die, move 6 spaces. So he's here in the middle region, and it might be a good idea. I'm not sure. He might want to take one of these quests, maybe, but maybe it's a better idea to move in the outer region at the beginning. It seems a little easier there. You don't have these deserts, you don't have this Black Knight there, the Cursed Glade, and there will be also more other cards because of the other players that will draw cards in this outer region. So it might be easier to encounter more interesting things out there. So I guess I will move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here to the Sentinel and draw 1 card. And that's a Hound. Okay. So it's a enemy spirit, craft 2, but because it's day, it only has a craft of 1. But I think, I'm not absolutely sure about that, but I will do it this way because otherwise it's simply too complicated for me. If you later on trade your these trophies for additional abilities, or not abilities, but strength points or craft points, then this will count as a normal 2. I think it makes sense, and if you have a +1, then they will also count as the value which is printed on the card. Okay, if you do not defeat the Hound, you must take it as a follower. So let's see, I think our chances are pretty good. First, the Hound attacks with a 1, so yeah, we don't even have to roll here, and we gain a trophy of 2 craft here. And different to the old 2nd edition, where you could only trade strength points for additional strength points, here you can now also trade craft trophies to gain more strength points. Okay, let's see what the Highlander does. That's a 2. Well, I think he simply goes into the woods and draws a card. Ah, that's a great start. A Warhorse. That's amazing, I think. Add your craft value to your strength during battle. If you lose a life during any battle or psychic combat, you must discard the Warhorse. That's a great start. So that's a follower, place it here, and that's it then. And I forgot, and I will do this now, I will play the Poltergeist on the Dark Cultist. So, Cast on any character at the start of his turn. The character must take this card as a follower and only moves one space per turn. Fine. So, place that here. And we find a river actually here. So it's probably a good idea to move in this direction here. And yeah, then simply draw a card. Ah, that looks interesting. A black unicorn. That's pretty tough. Craft 7. If you defeat the black unicorn in psychic combat, you may keep it as a follower instead of a trophy. Okay. That's gonna be tough. Okay, so first we roll for the unicorn. And that's a 2. So there is actually a little chance we could do that. It has a 9 and a -1 because it's daytime, so it only has an 8. And, well, she might do it. She needs a 5 to be successful here. And she doesn't have that. So it might be a good idea to use this fate now, because that's a very strong card. I mean, it would add 1 to your strength and 1 to your craft. So, maybe I will risk this. I will play the fate token. And I will try a second time. Ah, damn. Didn't make it. Okay, that was unlucky. And then it says it will remain here until it is defeated. So the black unicorn stays there and we lose 1 life. Okay, so that's the first round. Now it's again the warlock, and it says at the start of your turn you may gain your full complement of spells. So he's allowed to draw a new spell. And that says Mind Steal. Cast on another character at any time. Look at that character's spells and take one of your choice. Okay. So let's see, we got a 6 here. So that would be either here. Could go into the woods or end up here. I don't know actually. Maybe I go here. I think that's better. So I move to the. Oh no, that's a stupid idea. Not to the forest. No, I will go to the woods then, and I will not attack the Highlander, of course, because I had to do this in battle with my strength value, and I only have a strength of 2, and the Highlander has a strength of 4. But I can also simply encounter the woods and draw an adventure card there. And we have a Wolf Slayer there. That's a follower. No lycanthrope character may have the Wolf Slayer. If it's day, add 2 to your strength. If it's night, add 2 to your craft. Well, that's a really great card. That's absolutely amazing. Okay, and then, yeah, we play the Highlander, and that's a 3. And we should see if we can get on some hills, which would allow us to draw 2 cards. So 1, 2, 3, but not, right now it's not possible. Well, I'm not sure. 1, 2, simply go here and draw 1 card. In the fields. And that is a Lantern Sprite. The Lantern Sprite will remain here for the rest of the game. Take a secret look at the top card on the adventure deck and place it face down in front of any character of your choice. At the start of that character's next turn, he must place the card on top of the adventure deck. Well, that's an interesting card. And it will remain there. So let's do this right now. We draw a card. And that is a porter. So that's actually a pretty good card. And I think I will place it in front of me. I think that should be possible. Any character of my choice. So I guess I'll place this card in front of me, and then I'll have to place it on top of the adventure deck. Okay, and the Dark Cultist can only move one because of the Poltergeist. So he moves into the village. And, well, he could heal for 1 gold. That's possible because she already lost 1 life. Or she could... Well, I think she will roll a die. Let's see what happens. Nothing, I guess. Yeah, simply ignored. Ah, that's okay. Fine. So, another turn. It's the Warlock now. And, well... That is a 1, and that means that we have to move this guy over there. So, and I guess the Warlock, well, not sure. He might move here into the fields. Maybe he can go here to the Lantern Sprite, which is also a good card. And then he simply draws a card. And that's an Earthquake. That's an event now. So that means first that we have to flip the card. And we now have, it's now nighttime. An earthquake shocks the land. Roll 1 die for each face-up adventure card in this region. On a roll of 1, 2, or 3, the adventure card tumbles down to the discard pile. The earthquake then dissipates to the discard pile. Okay. So, let's see, on a 1, 2, 3, we got this one here, the Lantern Sprite. It stays. And then we got here the Black Unicorn. And that stays too. So, nothing happens. And now we have to roll here for the Grim Reaper. And that's a 3. So, actually, we can move now with the Reaper just the normal way. We can move with the Reaper from the temple to the tavern if we want to, and I think also back. Yeah, that's possible. And we can also move here from the hills to the Sentinel and also back. So I think for now, well, I'm not sure. I think I will simply move here to the woods. Usually when I play with the Reaper, it's actually not really a very interesting thing. I mean, in general, I do not encounter this guy. I don't know. I think it's not very useful. Whatever. And now it's the Highlander. And he will place now this card on top of the adventure deck. And let's see if we're lucky and if we can draw a card. That's a 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the plains. I think I will move here and draw a card. Well, and surprise, it's a porter. That's a good one. If you want the porter as your follower, pay 1 gold. If not, he waits here for a character willing to pay him. While he is your follower, he can carry an extra 4 objects for you. If you lose the porter, leave any surplus object of your choice in the space you're in. I will do this. I will pay this gold, because usually it's definitely it's definitely very useful to have someone carrying your stuff. Yeah, makes life a little easier. And of course there is a carrying limit of 4 objects. So that simply doubles your carrying limit, which is very useful. And then it's the cultist again, and wow, she's still got that hunting poltergeist here. So she now moves here, and there she crossed the river here over the bridge. So she is now allowed to discard that card. That was a spell. So here we are, and then she draws a card from the fields, and well, that's a boneyard. Well, she should feel fine there, just like home. The boneyard will remain here for the rest of the game, once per visit. If the top card on the adventure discard pile is an enemy, you must place it on this space. That's interesting, but it isn't. It's actually an earthquake. Okay. Okay, so I think I'll do one more round, and that's probably it then. Is there anything we can do? I don't think so right now. Okay. So the warlock again, and he's got a 4. Well, it's not so amazing. The plains or the fields. Got no idea. I think I'll move to the fields. Yeah, maybe to the... I'm not sure actually. Yeah, I think the fields are fine. Keeps me away from the Highlander, and it's not a good idea if he attacks me. So, let's draw a card. And that's a Shadow Dagger. Okay. A weapon. Very good. Add 1 to your craft during psychic combat. If it is night, add 3 to your craft during psychic combat instead. Well, this guy is getting really strong actually. I mean, he's got that Shadow Dagger and the Wolf Slayer. So he's actually... well, he's pretty awesome. Yeah, definitely cool. Okay. And then it's it's the Highlander again. And he has a 3. So that's this time it's the hills, which is a good thing. He could also go to the ruins now and draw 2 cards there. Doesn't really matter. I think he moves to the hills. I think that's better, simply because the Dark Cultist, if she attacks him with her psychic combat, and she's in trouble, or he's in trouble. And he's allowed to draw 2 cards, and that's something he will do. So let's see, we have... okay, let's see, we got here a 5, so that is a follower. Horse and cart. The horse and cart can carry an extra 8 objects for you. If you lose the horse and cart, you must leave any surplus object of your choice. Well, that's just great. Okay, I mean... well, then he didn't need the porter, but okay, who cares? And that says Mountain Trail. The mountain trail will remain here for the rest of the game. On your next turn, instead of your normal move, you may move to the Highland entrance. So that is actually something I could do now. And so if these cards come up, they will also allow you to enter one of the expansions. I gotta think about this. Maybe I will do this. I mean, I'm a Highlander, so it might be a good idea to do that. But I'm not absolutely sure about it yet. Okay, fine. And then it's the Dark Cultist once again. And that is a 1. So she could now choose between the forest and the village, and I think she will move into the village. And then she will actually first move the Reaper once again. And that's a 4. Okay, so let's move this guy 1, 2, 3, 4 to the direction of the Highlander. And then we roll again and visit the Mystic here. So let's see what happens. That's a 5, and I think that's a good one. Gain 1 craft. Awesome. Definitely great. Okay, so well, I think we're done for now. I'm gonna load this up, and well, maybe we will enter the Highlands in the next turn. I'm not absolutely sure, but I think I might try that. And yeah, hope to see you then. Bye.